We're no strangers to horror comedies, but Beetlejuice still came as a surprise when the 1988 film by Tim Burton first introduced this bizarre character. This is not your conventional ghost, and everything that he does is comedy gold and unique. He's portrayed as the antagonist in the movie, but his character doesn't feel like one because of his wacky nature. It's been a rather long wait after the first movie to the recently released sequel, and life finally comes full circle for the character. In this video, we will look back at everything that you need to know about Beetlejuice, from his entire backstory to his physiological details. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Beetlejuice, and how was he introduced in the 1988 movie? The first introduction to Beetlejuice comes in the critical commercial hit back in 1988, which won multiple awards and made the character a household name. The story starts off with the death of a married couple, Barbara and Adam Maitland, and they are stuck in their house in their afterlife for the next 125 years. Meanwhile, their house is sold and the Dietz family move in as the new owners. The family includes Charles Dietz, a former real estate developer, his second wife Della, a sculptor, and his teenage daughter from his first marriage, Lydia. They change the house drastically, and it's up to the Maitlands to scare away the Dietz family and live in their house peacefully. In order to get the job done, Barbara and Adam hire the services of Beetlejuice, a notorious exorcist in the spirit world known for scaring the humans away. The moment Beetlejuice arrives in the house, the Maitlands regret their decision to bring him in because he's everything that they didn't want. Beetlejuice is rude and offensive, and his morbid demeanor prompts the Maitlands to try and get rid of him. But it's too late. He wreaks havoc on the Dietz family, but the results are far from what the Maitlands intended. Charles Dietz ended up impressed by the charms of the small town, and he also plans on developing the town into a tourist spot with his boss, Maxie Dean. However, Maxie wants proof of ghosts in the house, and things take an unexpected turn when the exterior decorator of the Dietz family, Otho, conducts a seance to summon the Maitlands. He unknowingly ends up performing an exorcism, much to the horror of Lydia, who is the only one who can sense all the paranormal activities and see the ghosts. She seeks the help of Beetlejuice, but the selfish ghost only offers to help if she promises to marry him, which would allow him to cause chaos in the mortal world. He then saves the Maitlands and even gets rid of Maxie Dean, his wife, and Otho. But the Maitlands, who have now been saved, intervene, and Barbara causes a sandworm to devour Beetlejuice. Now, there's an understanding between the Maitlands and the Dietz family to coexist peacefully, and a particularly heartwarming bond between the Maitlands and Lydia. Meanwhile, Beetlejuice is the one stuck in the afterlife waiting room, and even stealing someone else's ticket to redemption doesn't go well for him.
You're working with a professional here!
What is the backstory of Beetlejuice? How old is he? Before he turned into a self-proclaimed exorcist who got rid of humans, Beetlejuice was once a human himself, and he lived quite an illustrious life back in the day.
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively.
According to his account, Beetlejuice attended Juilliard and was also a graduate of the Harvard Business School. It's indicated that he lived through the Black Plague, and he even claimed to have had a good time during this great tragedy.
Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times.
He also claimed to have watched the movie The Exorcist around 167 times, which he viewed as another of his accomplishments. That being said, there was no telling if Beetlejuice was telling the truth because he might have tooted his own horn a bit too hard in order to impress the Maitlands. Juno, the spirit who dealt with the Maitlands in their afterlife, warned them against Beetlejuice, suggesting that he was a lot of trouble and did not work well with others. The Maitlands soon found out the reasons behind these warnings when Beetlejuice started troubling the Dietz family in a way that could seriously harm them. While it's been speculated how long Beetlejuice has existed out there, we do have a hint in the original movie that might have given away his real age. During the scene where he poses as a snake to scare the Dietz family, he talks about feeling anxious because he's lived for about 600 years. If you consider the time of the movie, and if you assume that Beetlejuice died when he was in his 30s, he was born roughly around the mid-1300s. How did Beetlejuice die as a human? Beetlejuice was born as Beetlejuice Jr., and he even worked as a grave robber during the Black Plague, stealing from the freshly deceased corpses. During this time, he met a female plague doctor named Dolores, and he fell madly in love with her. They soon got married, but her true reality was only revealed after a passionate honeymoon when she made him have a special drink. Dolores then revealed that she was the leader of a soul-sucking death cult, and he had been poisoned. In a state of shock, and due to the extreme nature of this betrayal, Beetlejuice killed her with an axe and eventually succumbed to the poison in his drink. This is when he became a part of the netherworld and started his life as a deranged and ill-mannered ghost.
You and the boys stand guard. Nobody gets through. Let's go.
How does the recently released Beetlejuice bring him back into the picture? The much-awaited sequel has finally been released, and it's a great moment to revisit some of the popular characters from the original movie. For starters, the likes of Lydia Dietz return yet again, and this time around, the goth teen from the first film has grown up into a fine woman with a daughter of her own. She works for a hit TV show and investigates haunted mansions using her ability to see the dead. However, she has a rather toxic relationship with her teenage daughter Astrid, who hates her and doesn't believe in ghosts. Lydia also has an exploitative, sleazy boyfriend, but she can't really see him for who he is. Meanwhile, her stepmother Delia continues to be as self-absorbed as always, and they all find themselves back in the small town where it all started. On the other hand, Beetlejuice is still stuck in the afterlife, and while working in the bureaucracy of the undead, he finds out about his disturbing ex-wife Dolores, who happens to be a soul-sucking succubus. She is seeking him one more time, and it might not be the happiest of reunions for the unruly ghost. Things take a drastic turn when Astrid discovers a mysterious portal to the afterlife, and later, the mischievous demon finds a way to return to the world of the living after someone utters his name 3 times. What happens next is the emotional journey drawn out by Tim Burton with a comedic undertone that keeps the movie lighthearted the whole time.
That is why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore.
How can Beetlejuice be summoned? The infamous ghost, played by the renowned Michael Keaton in the movie, can be summoned quite easily into the world of the living. All that needs to be done is to utter his name 3 times, and he will appear into the mortal world and roam around freely. Previously, Lydia has done the same to summon him, and it's always worked. However, there is a slight catch here that also turns out to be one of Beetlejuice's weaknesses. His name can also be uttered 3 times to push him away from this realm.
Privacy.
What does Beetlejuice look like? Appearances can be deceiving, but not for Beetlejuice, who looks exactly like you expect someone of his nature to look like. His general appearance is that of a deceased corpse, and his skin has a pale coloring because of the years of decay. Similarly, his teeth and fingernails are also severely decreased and discolored because of the impact of all these years. He's usually seen sporting matching black and white striped pants and blazer, along with a white undershirt and black necktie. One of the striking factors about his ridiculous presence is his putrid green hair that sticks out as one of the most distinguishable features of the ghost. The noticeable dark circles around his eyes and evil grin are indicative of his sinister nature, and we couldn't have hoped for a more perfect ghost in a horror comedy. Exploring the complicated personality of the deranged ghost. One of the first things to note about the personality of Beetlejuice is that it changes significantly in the movie version and the animated version. The movies show him as a selfish and vile creature who can do just about anything for his own gain, but the animated version is quite different. Here, he is still an agent of chaos, but there is a more heroic side to him that is shown in various episodes. Also, his relationship with Lydia as her best friend in the animated series is also a stark contrast to their troubled relationship in the movies. As far as the movies are concerned, it has been rightly pointed out that the nature of Beetlejuice has been similar to that of a deranged con artist. He's known for a foul temper, holds grudges, and has the worst manners that you will find in an individual. Personal hygiene means nothing to him, and you'll find him doing unspeakable things that make him all the more unpleasant, even by ghost standards. He is also quite a perverted fellow, as has been proven from his attempts to get close to Barbara in the movie or his demented lust for Lydia. He cares little for the living, as this foul-mouthed ghost can even kill someone and not spare a thought for the fallen. Another disturbing feature of his personality is his lack of space sense and intruding habits that make him disrespect any sense of boundaries of an individual. Can Beetlejuice shapeshift into anything? It's been proven in both the movies as well as the animated series that Beetlejuice is capable of shapeshifting. He can take the form of just about anything, and he can even alter sizes according to his will. This helps him in tormenting and scaring the living, which is much of his work, as he claims to be a professional exorcist who gets rid of humans from haunted places. The movie has shown him change into a snake to intimidate the family, and he's also shown his ability in changing his voice and mimicking someone else to confuse the humans. This is one of his most sneaky superpowers because it allows him to morph into just about anything and conceals his identity considerably. Does Beetlejuice possess mind-controlling abilities? The superpowers of Beetlejuice are not just restricted to his shape-shifting skills or enhanced strength and reflexes. His true source of power is his psychic skill and mind-controlling abilities. First, he can read the minds of individuals because of his telepathic skills, and his mind reading has proven to be quite effective in the movies. Secondly, his abilities also include moving objects and individuals using the power of his mind. He can also change the reality of certain humans momentarily, which is probably yet another of his mental superpowers. Is Beetlejuice immortal? What is dead may never die, and you cannot expect a ghost to be dead again. Thus, Beetlejuice is technically immortal, even though his stay in the world of the living can be abruptly ended. Since he's essentially a spirit, his existence is eternal, and he cannot be destroyed or killed off permanently. All that can be done following his defeat is to move him into the realm of the dead, where he can be stuck for decades, as proven during the events of the sequel after the first movie. Even the mighty sandworm that can overpower Beetlejuice cannot really end him forever, and this is perhaps his biggest strength, that he's indestructible. Can Beetlejuice reproduce? There's been nothing to suggest that ghosts can reproduce, and thus, in his ghostly avatar, Beetlejuice is not capable of reproducing in all probability. Of course, as a human, he could father a child, but as luck would have it, his wife turned out to be a maniacal cult member, and he never had the opportunity. However, while he may not have been able to reproduce as a ghost, his lusty and perverted nature has not been left too far behind, and he's given us plenty of instances in the movies, where his urges to be intimate have been quite obvious. Can Beetlejuice be considered intelligent? It's hard to deny that Beetlejuice makes a few silly choices in the end, but he is still worthy enough to be considered extremely intelligent, or cunning to be precise. His scheming mind always comes up with the best possible move for his personal gains, and for much of the movies, we see him trying to find ways to live freely in the world of the living. He was willing to marry Lydia because it would allow him free access, and he has his new plans in the sequel. He is a con artist for a reason, and even the other ghosts are wary of his cunning nature. What are Beetlejuice's major weaknesses? We've already established that he cannot be killed or destroyed by normal means, but there are certain actions that can cause him to be trapped in the world of the dead or in the afterlife. For instance, simply saying his name thrice after summoning him can have him banished, and this is quite an easy and effective way to get rid of him temporarily. In a more convincing method, sandworms, an immensely powerful creature for the ghosts, can be used to send him back to the netherworld dimension, which is exactly what happens to him at the end of the first movie. Of course, he's never away permanently, as we find out in the sequel, but a few decades without his menace is still worth celebrating. Does Beetlejuice grow stronger with time? This has never been explicitly laid out, but it does seem that way from how Beetlejuice is stronger and smarter every time he is back. It's been indicated that he is capable of absorbing the life force of individuals, and this enables him to grow stronger. Also, there is a chance that staying dead for so long has given him enough experience to learn the details about the ways of the dead. If you check out the new movie, you'll realize that Beetlejuice will need all of his strength now that his twisted ex-wife is back again in action. Marvelous verdict, a ghostly figure worth remembering. The extensive horror movie history has meant that several iconic characters have been immortalized over the decades, and to have made a name worth remembering among this list is no easy feat. Beetlejuice has accomplished the same because of how his unique and memorable character has been shaped, and the new movie is a fun reminder of how amazing his presence feels on the screen. It's always a laugh riot, alongside some drama and emotional moments, and even though Beetlejuice himself is not someone to be taken seriously, he is still the game changer of the franchise. We would love to hear your thoughts on the newly released movie, and also share your views on what you think of this remarkable ghostly figure from the genius mind of Tim Burton. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.